Hello everyone, this is Mahesh Reddy. In this class, I am going to deal about I2C protocol, inter-integrated circuit. This I2C protocol is developed by Philips in 1982, which is used for interfacing low-speed peripheral ICs to your microcontrollers and microprocessors. And this protocol is used for short distance communication. And coming to next point, it is a synchronous half-duplex serial communication protocol. As we discussed earlier, it is a synchronous protocol. Synchronous means the clock is transmitted along with the data. And it is a half-duplex serial communication protocol. Listen, it is a half-duplex communication. That means single transmission line is used for both transmission and reception. This I2C bus uses two bidirectional lines for communication. One is serial data, another one is serial clock. Serial data line is used for transferring the data, and serial clock is one which carries clock signal required for data communication between master and slave. Of course, there is a connection for ground, but it is not counted. As two wires are required for communication, SDA and SCL, serial data and serial clock, it is often called the two-wire interface. And coming here, see here you can see some peripherals which uses I2C interface for communicating with other devices. The first one is EEPROM, electrically erasable programmable read-only memory. See here, it is using SDA and SCL lines here, serial data and serial clock. That is, it is using I2C interface for communication. Next, temperature sensor module, which is used to measure the temperature. It is also using I2C interface. See here, SDA and SCL, serial data and serial clock lines. And this one is the accelerometer, which is used to sense the acceleration. It is used for accident detection in cars, and some other examples are there. And you can see here that its accelerometer is also using I2C interface, serial data and serial clock lines in order to interface with microcontroller. And see here OLED, organic LED interface. This display module is also using only two lines, SDA and SCL, for communicating with the microcontroller board. Here see Arduino board. To Arduino board you are interfacing this display. And see here, the main advantage of I2C is, other than this ground and supply line, only we need two lines for communication. Only with SDA and SCL we can communicate with the other peripheral. See, coming to some features of I2C or I2C. I2C provides a full functionality of bus while using fewer lines than SPI. The SPI requires 4 lines for communication, but I2C requires only 2 lines for communication. This is the advantage of I2C over SPI. And it transfers on the bus takes place between master and slave. That is, the data communication takes place between master and slave. And see here, each slave has a unique address which is usually 7-bit long. See here, he is saying that slave has a unique address which is usually 7-bit long, and every slave has an address. The address is of 7-bit long. Nowadays, your I2C protocols is coming with 10-bit long addresses also. So your slave address may be 7-bit or 10-bit. Nowadays, 10-bit address is also available for interfacing to slaves. And the communication between the master and slave is done in this way. First, the master starts the transfer, provides the clock. The master will always provide the clock and addresses a particular slave, and it manages the transfer and finally terminates it. This is the way how master and slave will communicate in I2C protocol. And see, this point is a very important point. There may be more than one master on the bus, although one can control at a time. From this point, we can say one thing, that I2C protocol is a multi-master, multi-slave communication. Can have multiple masters and multiple slaves on the bus. As you learned in the previous class, that SPI is a single master multi-slave communication. In SPI, only one master will be there and slaves will be multiple slaves will be present. And coming to I2C, it is a multi-master multi-slave communication. And see this interfacing diagram, you can understand. This is your I2C bus, I2C bus, SDA and SCL. This is your serial data line and this is your serial clock line. And here you can observe slaves connected to these lines. And each slave is having an 7-bit address. See here, 0x means hexadecimal format is 78. This is the 7-bit address is given to the slave. Similarly, every slave is having a 7-bit address. And there are two masters here. This is a master and this is another master. He is using Raspberry Pi and a Arduino board as masters here. And this diagram shows your multi-master, multi-slave communication model. And here you can see the electronic interface to the I2C bus for a master and two slaves. You are having one master and two slaves connected. And remember one point, that here master can drive both the lines serial clock and serial data. On the other hand, slaves must always be able to drive serial data line only. And see, here the pull-up resistors, you see RP, pull-up resistors keeps the lines at VCC, that is logic 1, when none of the drivers is active. That is, the pull-up resistor holds the line at VCC when there is no activity. So both the clock and data will be ideal high. And here you can observe N-channel MOSFETs, and if a single N-channel MOSFET is turned on, its line is pulled down to VSS to give logic 0. Understand? That means if there is no activity, that is no transfer, then logic 1 or VCC is appeared on the line. Otherwise, if a MOSFET is turned on, it is pulled down to 0, logic 0, that is to VSS. And see here, with the help of this figure, I will explain I2C protocol, how I2C protocol works and how the data is transferred from master to slave or slave to master. And here the above figure shows how the information frame will be. The first bit is the start condition, then next the address frame. Here the address of the slaves will be transmitted, to which the master wants to communicate. Your address bits may be, as I said, 7 or 10 bits. Next, read or write bit. The master wants to read the data or write the data to the slave. Next, acknowledgement. Acknowledgement from the slave that it is ready for communication. Next, data bits. Next again acknowledgement. Next again data frame, acknowledgement. At last, stop condition. That means the data transfer is completed. And this is how information is passed between master and slave. And the protocol is explained with a small example here. See, here the example is that the master requests data from the slave. Slave will place data on the bus. The master will read that data. Understand? In this example, the master wants to read data from the slave. Let us see how master reads the data from the slave. See, coming to protocol, first the master sends a start condition. by pulling SDA means serial data line low while SCL is high. This is called as a start condition. What will master will do? Master will make the serial data line from high to low. It will make low when serial clock is in high state. This condition is called as a start condition. First, it initiates the start condition like this. Next, the master places the address on the serial data line according to clock pulses. See here. Then after, when serial clock line becomes low, it places the first bit of the address and it places the corresponding address bits repeatedly until all 7 bits of the address have been sent. Like this, here 7-bit address of the slave is passed. And the next bit is read or write bit. And see here, read is a active high signal and write is a active low signal. In this example, the master wants to read data from the slave. So we are making this signal as logic 1 because read is active high signal. If the signal is made logic 1, then master is trying to read data from the slave. And here the next bit, the 9th bit, is the acknowledgement bit, which is low and is sent by the slave that recognizes its address. That means the master sent the 7-bit address now. If the slave is present and if it recognizes that address, then it makes the line low, indicating that it is there to transfer the data with the help of acknowledgement bit. Here, the master must check the slave acknowledgement, and if the acknowledgement is not there from the slave, the master will abort the transfer because the slave is not there. Next, if everything is fine, then the slave will places the data for the next 8 clock cycles. The data is placed by the slave. The master continues to provide the clock and this data is read by the master. And the 9th bit will be normally the acknowledgement bit, which signals to the slave that the master has received sufficient data. And the final signal is the stop signal, so stop condition. The stop condition is that the master sends a stop condition by pulling SDA high while SCL is high. See here, what is the stop condition? The master is making the SDA line from low to high while your serial clock line is high. This is called as a stop condition. In this way, your I2C protocol works. See, thus the transfer begins with a start condition shown by a falling edge on a SDA while SCL is high, and it ends with stop condition shown by rising edge on SDA while SCL is high. And coming to the block diagram of I2C, I2C, see here, this is the clock generation unit. Here, with the help of UCSSELX. Here UC represents Universal Communication Interface and SSELX, clock source selection. With the help of these bits, you can select any one of the clock source. And by scaling that clock source, you can generate SCL signal, serial clock signal, which is required for data transmission. Here UCMST, it is used for selecting either master mode or slave mode. And coming here, UCSLA10, slave address mode selection. Here you can select either 7-bit addressing mode or 10-bit addressing mode for the slave. As I said, no, your slaves may have 7-bit address or 10-bit address. With the help of this bit, you can select 7-bit addressing or 10-bit addressing. And this block represents your slave address, and this is your transmit shift register which transmits the data out, and this is your transmitter buffer. The data to be transmitted is placed here predefinedly. And coming to I2C I2C state machine, in general, a state machine is any device that stores the status of something. What it will do, it will store the status of something at a given time, and it can operate on input or output to change the status. And this is your I2C state machine, which is enabled to store the status of your input or output. And these blocks shows your receiver buffer and receive shift register. Here shift register is used to shift the received data, and receiver buffer is used to store the received data in the buffer. And this one represents the own address of the device, and the own address may be 7-bit or 8-bit long. It is decided with the help of the UCA10. And this one is the enable pin, which is used to enable your device. And this one shows your serial data line, which is used to transfer data to receive shift register or take the data from transmit shift register and transfer the data to another peripheral. And lastly, coming to the control register of I2C, see here the bit 0 is the UC synchronization bit. This bit is used for selecting asynchronous mode or synchronous mode. As I2C is a synchronous protocol, this bit is set to 1 because the module is set in synchronous mode. The next 2 bits, it's 1 and 2, it represents the mode. See here, if it is 0, 0, 0, 1 and 1, 0 indicates your SPI protocol modes. As you are using I2C protocol here, these 2 bits are set to 1, 1, which indicates your I2C communication. The next bit is UCMST, master mode selection. With the help of this bit, you can select either slave mode or master mode. That is, your device is slave or master. If the bit 4 is not used, and coming to bit 5, that is UCMM. This bit is used for selection of multi-master environment selection. Whether you are using single master environment or multi-master environment, that is, multi-masters are connected on the bus or single master is connected on the bus. And here the bit 6 represents the slave addressing mode select. Slave addressing mode means whether your slave addressing is 7-bit address or 10-bit address. If this bit is set to 0, it is 7-bit addressing. If it is set to 1, that is 10-bit addressing. And here the UCA10, this is the own address mode select, the own device address mode select, whether your device address is 7-bit address or 10-bit address. And this is about the I2C protocol and how it works.